Hey guys, welcome back to the Talking Balls podcast. It's me, your host, IFA, and today I'm going to be talking one final time about the 25-26 Premier League season. I know the World Cup's going on, and I'll get to that in the next episode, but with the schedule release today for next season, it kind of marks the official dawn of a new season. So before we move into all of that, I just wanted to go over the last previous season one more time and then I'll be done. Today, I'm going to look at all the different clubs and talk about each club's who I perceive to have been each club's best player last year. Now, where possible, I'll try to give like a podium, so like a top three, and then pick who I think has was the best player for the 25-26 season. The exception being the three relegated clubs, so Burnley, West Ham, and Wolves. Just because it's hard to pick. It's hard to say, or rather, it's hard to pick a best player when a team's been relegated. I know they will have the best players, but typically teams in that situation don't tend to have those awards done just for the very reason that it's a bit insulting to fans to say this is a best player when you've had a poor season. So I will give players from those clubs that I think had really good seasons, but I'm not going to pick any one player as a standout. Finally, the other rule to this is I'm not going to pick any players who moved club mid-season. So, likes of Antoine Semenyo, he could have been on the list for both Bournemouth and City, but he's not going to be there because he switched clubs midway through. Same with Mark Gahey. Reason for that being, I think it's almost a bit unfair sometimes to the players who've been there throughout the season and who've been there consistently for a whole season just because someone's come in and had a really good half season. Exceptions, of course, if someone's just had an extraordinarily good half season, but I don't think there's been anyone I could say about that this in the 25-26 season. So I'm just gonna get right into it. I'm gonna go alphabetical form. Alphabetical order by team, with the relegated teams coming last. By the way, just so that we don't get all this chit chat about one team coming before the other. So let's kick into it. Arsenal. First off, I to be honest, Arsenal players I covered it in my first episode where I was looking at Timo's season. For me, the three best players this season were David Raya, Gabriel, and Declan Rice. And I'm just going to skip over this. David Raya is the player of the season, in my opinion. If you want more insights into this opinion, I would suggest you go back to episode one, which was the 25-26 preview, and watch that to hear my reasoning. Next up, Aston Villa. Now, Villa, to be fair, they've had a bit of a weird season. Like the first 6-7 games, they couldn't buy a win, they couldn't buy a goal, and then they went on a blistering run. And about Christmas, they were top of the table / in the title race with Arsenal. And then, yeah, by the end of the season, they had tailed off to fourth place. I mean, they won the Europa. They kind of rebounded to hit fourth place and win Europa, but there was a period where they were stranded in third, like equidistant between City in second and United in fourth. Somehow, so yeah, they've had a really weird season. But I think there's been three guys who've been there have been two who've been incredibly consistent throughout the season, and there's been one who has kind of had his ups and downs. Martinez, at the start of season, there were some mistakes he made, and you could kind of tell the transfer speculation about him moving to Manchester United last summer was at play. But once that situation was resolved, Senna Lamens joined us and everything, he did settle into the Emi Martinez that Villa fans know and love. And he did, come to the rescue in quite a few games, to be honest, for them. So, yeah, he's number 3 for me. Number 2, Ezri Konsa in the England World Cup squad. I think he's proven himself as the second best English defender in the Premier League, all round behind Mark Gahey. He's been absolutely fantastic all season. He does his job in a quiet, understated way, which I kind of like. It's a classy way to do things, and you've got to respect it. But the best player for Villa this season, I think, has been the Maverick Morgan Rogers. He's been incredible. He's his first half of the season was incredible. He did tail off a little bit in the middle, but then he picked it up again towards the end. And it's just everything he brings, his energy, his dribbling, his work rate, and of course the skill and finesse to finally put a lot more end product to what we've all seen as a talent in the past few years. So Morgan Rogers for Aston Villa. Next up, Bournemouth. To be honest with Bournemouth, I struggled a bit. Not because there weren't enough players, but more because I actually ended up with five possible options for this because they've had an incredible season. For to lose the entire starting back five from last season and to make it to Champions League this season in sixth place, I think again I've covered Antonio Iraola in the first episode, but it is just an incredible testament to the quality of the players as well and to the performances. Eli Junior Kroupi, I think, is going to be one of the top Premier League players in the next 2 to 3 years. He's already a top young player, but I think he's going to take up a level in the next 2 to 3 years, and possibly could be one of the best in the world. He has some. Sometimes you talk about a player and they've got a bankable skill. You know they're going to be great at dribbling or the vision is fantastic. But with Kroupi, it's almost like a Thomas Muller-esque. He's almost like a Thomas Muller-esque kind of player. He's just his ability to find space and to get in the right positions is so underrated. And to be honest, for a teenager, it's so incredibly advanced as well. So I think he's going to be one of the world's best. But for this exercise, he's only, in my opinion, Bournemouth's third best player of the past season. Second up, Adrian Truffert, who they brought in to replace Milos Kerkez, who transferred to Liverpool. I Bournemouth scouting department deserves a lot of credit for this because Truffert came in, fit right in. I think he topped the league for overlapping runs and he was top or second for underlapping runs. His energy is infectious. It's boundless as well at times. And his delivery of I was surprised to learn he only got, one assist this past season because his delivery is so incredible. And of course, on the other end, he's a defender. That's his main job. He's no slouch either. So, yeah, he's had a really good season. But the only reason, in my opinion, that he's number two is because the guy at number one has just been heads and shoulders one of the best players in the entire league. He was one of my nominees for Young Player of the Season as well. That is Alex Scott. A bit unlucky to miss out on the England World Cup squad, but he has elevated his game even further this past season. He was everywhere. He's in that kind of almost new old breed. We had the old breed of midfielders who could do everything. Then we kind of went into a period where we had midfielders who specialized in specific skills. And we're kind of getting back to, especially with English midfielders, we're getting back to this era of the Elliot Andersons, Declan Rices, Alex Scotts, Kobe Mainus, James Garners, who can kind of do any and all jobs you want them to do. And I think Alex Scott has showed that time and time again throughout this season. I mean, you want him to be this deeper sitting midfielder and break up play, he could do that. You want him to push up the field and press, he could do that. You want him to get on the ball and dictate play, he will do that. You want him to get on the ball and create chances further up, he has done that. And I think for those very reasons, and the fact he did all those things at a consistently high level, make him the best player for Bournemouth this past season. Brentford, I came up with three guys. Comin Kelleher was brilliant this season. I think he saved 2 penalties, which is the most of any keeper in the league this season. He was really, was it 3 actually? I'm not sure. I can't remember, but he was really good for them. Saved. I watched quite a few games or quite a few highlights at times where he literally kept Brentford in the game. I think they went through a period where they drew about 5 games in a row or something, but he was instrumental to keeping those scores down and to prevent those draws from turning into losses. He was absolutely brilliant all season, especially because this was his first season as a full-time starter after leaving Liverpool. So kudos to him. On the podium as well. By the way, with Brentford, I'm not doing a number 2 and 3. I'm just down the podium. On the podium as well, Michael Coyote. I think he's been one of the best right backs in the league this season. Still only 21, 22. Um, there's something different about him. He's just got, first off, he doesn't have the physique of a standard right back. He's tall, broad shoulders. He's not lanky, he's quite sturdy, um, but he's also really technically gifted. He's got a brilliant long throw on him as well. But he's defensively solid. He's offensively solid. He's the kind of guy that he's going to give you at least a 7 of 10 every game, game in, game out, regardless of the situation and the opposition. So for me, just for that consistency and the ability, the fact that I can't really point to a defined weakness in his game, he's on the podium. Number one, I think I'm realizing I might have covered some of these players a lot in the first episode. So you should be familiar with this guy, Igor Thiago. Broke the Brentford record for most Premier League goals in a season with 22. He was brilliant all season. Um, got into the Brazil squad for the World Cup quite deservedly. I think criticisms of him being there are quite harsh. Um, I think there's more to his game that people realize as well. I think a lot of people see him as someone who just finishes, but watching him play, he's actually a really good target man. He holds the ball up. He's a lot better with his feet than people give him credit for, and his passing and vision are actually underrated. I have seen quite a few crossfield passes from him this past season, which frankly shocked me because I don't think there's many strikers who could do that. So yeah, for me, he's been Brentford's player of season. By the way, guys, as I go along, you let me know in the comments and all of that. Tell me if you disagree with any of them, or if you think, yeah. So if you disagree, if you think I made a mistake, if you think there's someone who's done better for any of the teams as I'm going along. For Brighton, I couldn't really think of three people. Brighton have had a quite inconsistent season. I think they went on a 14 game run without winning. It's been kind of weird. They made Europe by the skin of their teeth as well on the last day. And the players kind of were up and down. There were several players who started in the team to begin the season, and by the end of the season, they were coming off the bench. There was some who were coming off the bench starting the season. By the end of the season, they were starting. So it's very, very difficult. There's only two players I think that I can confidently say should be on the podium. So I'm only going to pick two. Um, Daniel Welbeck at 35. I mean, I've always loved Daniel Welbeck, even from time when he was at Manchester United. I remember people criticizing him for not scoring enough, and I felt that wasn't his game. His game was about the work rate, was about pressing, was about doing that dirty side of football sometimes. But this season, he's mixed that up. He's also added the scoring. I think he's had his best scoring season ever. Oh, sorry, his career season high scoring season. I think he had 14, 15 league goals. So incredibly happy for him. Injuries have kind of messed with his career, but he's the epitome of a professional. He's always there for his team, always doing what his team needs from him. So I've got to give him credit for that. Unfortunately, there's someone else on that Brighton team who beats him out, and that's Freddie Kadioglu at left back. Well, left back, complete left wing, very versatile there. But is like their version of Michael Coyote. He's 7 over 10 every week. No defined weakness to his game as well. So I have to give him this award just for on that basis. I think he deserves a lot more recognition than he gets. So yeah, Freddie Kadioglu for Brighton. Chelsea is a bit weird because they had an okay start to the season coming off the Club World Cup Championship win, and then things kind of snowballed with Enzo Maresca getting fired, and then they brought in Liam Rosinha. Started off well, I guess, on fire because they were playing weaker opposition, and then the bottom fell out under them, and they just looked lost on the field. They looked lost all over. And yeah, they ended the season on that. And Colin McFarlane in his interim position for the second time this past season. So there's not a lot of players who can come out and say it. I mean, Reece James maybe because he's finally played a full season without injury, so maybe without serious injury, so maybe he gets a shout out. Cole Palmer, not seen him since that first season at Chelsea, really. Yeah, quite a lot of players were quiet. Maybe Moises Caicedo, but I don't know if he was as good as seen him even at Chelsea. So there's only two guys for me. One, Enzo Fernandez, best goal scoring season of his career. I think he was really good. There were a lot of games where, for example, City where they drew 1-1, he scored the last minute equalizer. Liverpool they drew 1-1 as well. I'm pretty sure he scored the equalizer then. But there's been quite a lot of games where he showed up. He's been the one to take the game by the scruff of the neck. Um, and make a difference for the team. So he deserves to be on this list because he's had a really good season. And I know Chelsea, there might be Chelsea fans out there who aren't happy with this selection on the basis that Enzo Fernandez has opened himself up to a move to Real Madrid. So they might be upset about that. But that's not my problem. My job here is to talk about best players and leave it at that. No politics involved. So for that, I'm actually going to give a tie for Chelsea's best player of the season because Joao Pedro has been a brilliant signing as well. He, I mean, he scored 15 league goals for them, which is really good. He and Enzo were really the only ones who shone throughout the season in an attacking sense. I think both of them were really consistent. Joao Pedro showed himself to be a supremely quality striker. Surprised me a little bit because I always viewed him as kind of a second striker, maybe a 10, 11 goals a season kind of guy. But on this Chelsea team, with the season they had, scored 15 league goals. And I mean, he did end the season injured. But to do that, so it means he had a shortened season. So to do that in a shortened season, quite surprising as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, he and Enzo Fernandez have to share this award, unfortunately. For Crystal Palace, of course, they had McGahey at the start of the season, and he left in January. Otherwise, he would probably have won this award. Actually, might have been closer than expected. Dean Henderson, always reliable. Fortunately, doesn't make top three, and that's no fault of his, really. It's just these three guys, I think, had much better seasons than he did. So I'm going to start with, again, like with Brentford, there's no strict second or third place. I'm going to name these two guys as the other podium takers, Maxence Lacroix, Chris Richards. I think both were incredible at the back, defensively solid, consistent throughout the entire season. And with the two of them in that back three, you almost forgot Mark Gahey had left the team in the second half of the season because they were just rock solid. They were brilliant defensively, chipped in with a few goals here and there as well. But these two guys deserve a lot of credit for the job they did in that Crystal Palace backline. And I know Chelsea are already looking at Maxence Lacroix, which fair enough. Like, yeah. But the playoff season for Palace, in my opinion, has to be Ismaila Sarr. 22 goals out competitions, again, his best scoring return in his career. Finally showing, I think this season he finally showed the promise we've been waiting for from when he was at Watford. He was there, especially at the start of the season where they were struggling a little bit offensively and in the Conference League as well with fatigue. He was the one game in, game out, getting the important goal, getting the important assist. And I think he continued that form throughout the season. I think he's been brilliant this season. Deserves a lot of recognition, deserves the awards and the merits because he has finally stepped up to the plate for. He's finally stepped up to the plate this year with Mateta's injury slash transfer stuff going about. So big credit to him. Well done to Ismaila Sarr. Everton. Everton. Well, this season they finally got their strikers scoring. I think both Tieno Barry and Beto hit at least 5 league goals each, which based on the last few years for Everton, that's actually big news. Big news that the strikers did that. But there's just no way. Like I'm looking at Premier League striking in mid table in a team fighting for Europe and saying, "Good job for scoring at least 5 goals in the season." So they aren't even on this list. I just want to make a point because Everton, I'm going to go three players from defense slash defensive midfield. James Tarkowski, third place. He's been a rock. This is the same James Tarkowski we saw at Burnley. No surprise there. Old school defender, break legs if he has to, go through defenders, if go through attackers if he has to. We will let you know he's there. Great physical presence, both at the back and of course attacking corners as well. He's really, really strong in the air, just dominant in all physical aspects of the game. So yeah, he's been brilliant again this season. James Garner, one that kind of pains me a little bit as a former United player, plus the fact he was almost running towards the end of his contract, and I was pleading for United to put in 20, 30 million pound bid to test Everton's reserve, get him in as one of the midfielders we clearly need, but we didn't. He signed his new contract, and again, another one like Alex Scott, unlucky to just miss out on England's World Cup squad because he's been really brilliant this season. Again, showing up in that new old mode of midfielders where he can do all aspects of he's brilliant in all aspects of the game. And something as well with these new old midfielders, kind of a lot of them, Alex Scott, Declan Rice, James Garner, a lot of them take set pieces now, which is quite incredible because I don't think I'm trying to remember if we've ever had this prevalence of central midfielders taking set pieces. It's usually been your attacking midfielders or your wingers, but it's a credit to his ability that David Moyes trusts him with so much responsibility because set pieces, like I said with James Tarkowski, huge part of Everton's game sometimes, and so it's indicative of the amount of responsibility a manager like David Moyes has stressed on this guy, which just shows you his quality and his resolve. Playoff season for Everton, I think it shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone. Jordan Pickford, again, one of the best players, one of the best keepers in the league, one of the best players in the league. England's number one goalkeeper. I mean, he's made some serious saves. I'm thinking the Chelsea game when Enzo Fernandez, save of the season against Sandro Tonali versus Newcastle. He's been absolutely immense. He's kind of a throwback. He reminds me a bit of Peter Schmeichel with his eccentricity. Maybe not as eccentric, but he has that swagger to him. He has that brashness to him at times, and he's a really great keeper. So it's also underrated on the ball, but maybe not such a big thing in this current Everton squad. But yeah, he deserves to win this award. He deserves to be. He's the best. He's been the best player all season. Fulham, it's a bit of a weird one because Fulham under Marco Silva have been kind of team where they tend to have one or two players who do really well, and then everyone else is just kind of a blend. They're very much a team under Marco Silva. They've very much been a team that's greater than the sum of their individual parts. So credit to him as a manager. But with Fulham, I'm going to give two players. Alex Iwobi, Nigerian brother, he's been really good. He's elevated his game this season. He's added a passing array that was previously not very visible to his game. Still the same guy on the ball. He can still run with the ball, still works hard off it. So yeah, he's been really good this season. I enjoyed watching him and Calvin Bassey at the AFCON in December, January. I think there's a clear winner here. Harry Wilson, another player with a career best season. Of course, it's a contract here, so who knows if that's really the real Harry Wilson. But he looked a player transformed, a player unburdened this season. He was brilliant, scoring loads of important goals for them. He was really inventive, really creative on the ball. Yeah, he was just really good all around. I mean, there's not a lot much else to say. I'm not gonna lie, sometimes Fulham can be a bit boring to watch. But yeah, he's been a great player this season for them. Sorry, just had to drink some water. Leeds, City where I live, United's rivals, had a rough start to the season until about November, December, when Daniel Farker made that tactical switch to back five or back three. and it really transformed the season because from there they were in relegation dogfight for a while, and then from there they just kind of picked up and cleaned themselves up, and they were nowhere near. I think they still finished like 16th, 15th by the end of the season, but they were much closer to mid-table than they were to the relegation fight. So kudos to them. Quite a few players stepped up. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, very stiff competition in the shout out again for best transfer this season. I mean, on a free transfer to come in and score, was it 13, 14 league goals like he did this season in a new team? That's really tough. That's really impressive. Um, and I watched him actually. Maybe he's not necessarily the most technically gifted player, but he, again, going back to 90s, early 2000 football, he's a very physical striker. He's a handful for defenders. So that against Manchester United when they beat us 2-1, he's just a nuisance all around. It's impossible to deal with him. He's constantly looking for the run. He's constantly trying to make runs. He's happy. He's willing to get involved in tussles and in battles with defenders. He's willing to go up for the ball in the air. He doesn't shy away from challenges. So he's been really good this season. This is the guy we saw with Everton about 5 years ago before injuries really slowed his career down. So I'm really happy for him. Another player I'm really happy for. Second for Leeds, Joe Rodon, I think has been immense defensively. He's like that for Wales as well. He's kind of like a Tarkowski, but smoother on the ball than Tarkowski is. He is that kind of old-fashioned. He embraces the physicality. He loves defending. You can see every time he plays, he wants to throw his body in the way. He wants to get on the ball. He's happy to get into duels with players. I really like players like that because they kind of embody the passion you want to see in football. But Leeds' best player this season, I think, has been the captain, Ethan Ampadu. He's bossed the midfield all season long. He's been brilliant with controlling play, controlling possession, dictating play, but also defensively as a converted centre back. He is extremely tough to beat, extremely tough to break down on the defensive end. He's quite a solid player as well. Again, these Leeds guys kind of remind you of the old-fashioned guys. They're passionate about football, and you can see it when they play. And Ampadu has added a lot of skill and finesse to that as well. For that reason, he's, in my opinion, Leeds' best player this past season. Liverpool. Ooh. There's no podium for Liverpool. I'm sorry. I just can't think of. Ngumo looks good. He's 7, but I know a lot of Liverpool fans were unhappy with the fact that he didn't play more than he did. But at 17, I think he was being protected. His future was being protected. There was a plan not to overload him with game time and pressure, which I admire and respect. But he had a good season. But in terms of regulars, the only person I think can hold his head up high this season, Dominic Szoboszlai. He was time and again Liverpool's best player, time and again Liverpool's saviour, time and again the free kick king of the league. I mean, he scored 4 this season, including that brilliant winner against Arsenal, followed up with the absolute belter against City in that game, which they unfortunately lost 3-1. 2-1, though no fault of his own. But he is the embodiment of the Energizer, human embodiment of the Energizer Bunny, because this dude never stops running. He's always running to press. He's always running back to defend. And I think to show you how good he was, Liverpool, because of injuries and other stuff, Liverpool played him as right back, defensive midfielder, central midfielder, attacking midfielder, and right winger at various points throughout the season. And I can probably confidently say he was the best right midfielder of the season, best central midfielder of the season, best attacking midfielder this season, and best right winger this season. So that tells you that no matter what position this guy is in, he's so intelligent, he's so good. He's such a team player that he gives his all. And I think he's another guy who 7 8 over 10 every week. And he's the only one for me who emerges with any credit after Liverpool season. Man City, unfortunate title challengers who tailed away in the last few weeks with some random draws from nowhere. Donnarumma came in and was absolutely immense at the in goal for them. Start off season with Trafford, and I think in the first few games you could see Trafford making a few mistakes on the ball. I mean, Donnarumma isn't really that kind of guy. He's not so much a ball playing keeper as he is just a goalkeeper. Goalkeeper. He's there to make saves, and that's what he did really well this season. Kept them. I mean, I know they lost the game against us 2-0 in January, or was it February? Yeah. But they lost that game to us. But it wasn't because of Donnarumma. Because if not for Donnarumma, that game could have been 5 or 6. We saw him in the Liverpool City game I just referenced, where City won 2-1. He kept them in that game at 1-0 when Liverpool were up 1-0. He was the reason they could come back and win that game. And he was immense all through the season. Up there with him, Ryan Cherky started out a bit slow, which is to be expected from players joining the Premier League. It is an intense league, very physical, so it's not entirely unexpected. But as the season went on, you could see him growing in stature and embracing the physicality of the league, but also maintaining that skill set that he possesses. Those silky feet to just kind of glide past defenders like they were standing glide past defenders like they were mannequins. It's really brilliant. His ability on the ball, his vision. He ended up third most assists this season, second most with 12, which for someone who started the season as slowly as he did is quite impressive. So Ryan Cherky, number 2, second best player for City this season. Up top, or at number 1, is that guy who plays up top, Erling Haaland again. He was on fire to start the season. Like he was looking like he could break 40 league goals in the season, but then he kind of slowed down in the middle. And then towards the end, what happened? When the team, oh, by the way, Jeremy Doku deserves a shout out, but I covered him a lot in the first episode, so you can go back to that to listen to what I had to say about him. But back to Erling Haaland. Towards the end of the season, when City needed results, he was the one getting a big goal. Against Everton, when they drew 3-3, scored that second goal. Against Bournemouth, granted, that was the game that secured Arsenal's title win, but he was the one who scored the equaliser. Against Arsenal, when they won 2-1, pretty sure he scored the second goal, was it? Or he scored the second goal, and then he should have got Gabriel sent off, but the referee was too scared to make a decision. But Erling Haaland, on virtue that he was on record-breaking pace to start the season, and then he was popping up with important goals later on, I have to give him the player of the season for Manchester City. On to my people, Manchester United. I just came up with 2 guys because could have been 3, because Matthias de Ligt started this season absolutely brilliant form, but then he got his back injury where he was out he missed the City game, and then he missed, was it a game in December, actually, against Newcastle or something, and we thought it would be 1 game out, and he just never showed up again to play this season because of that back injury. So unfortunately, he misses out on this, because I think he was the only other player for us who could have guts on this podium. Number 2 has to be Senne Lammens. I mean, I've spoken about him so many times already. Like, he saved us this season. He brought calmness and composure to our defense, to our midfield, to strikers. Everyone knew they could rely on him. And I mean, it just brought something different after the years of hoo-ha with Bayende, Onana, and the latter years of De Gea's career at United. For me, he's a clear second best. Best player United, player of the season. He's already won the awards with the PFA, Player of the Year, FWA, Football Writers Association, Player of the Year. Bruno Fernandes, immense, broke the assist record. Even starting season playing in central midfield, so creative, so creative. Always leading the press. Always, I mean, granted, maybe not the best defensively, but that's a bit harsh because he does defend from the front with pressing, but he is always there. His passion always shines through. He never stops running for the team, never stops fighting for the team. Well-deserved player of the season. Overall, well-deserved player of the season for Manchester United. Newcastle, they were another who had a rough year. Yeah, the Isak saga took away the top goal scorer on deadline day, and they seemingly never recovered from that. Walter Matty came in, wasn't great. He started off well and then kind of just went flat for the rest of the season. Um, Malik Tiao, who they brought in summer, was actually really good. He's again, this is another team with only two people on the podium. Malik Tiao's second on the basis that he wasn't bad. He was actually well, he was that's harsh. He was good all season long, played consistently, wasn't really injured. Um, but he didn't stand out as much as the guy in first place. Bruno Guimaraes was incredible as always throughout the season. Fantastic. He is another all-round midfield guy. He wanted to stay deep and defend. He will do that. He will tackle. He will break up play. He will move forward with the ball. He will create chances. He scores goals as he's added goals as well. I think this was the best goal scoring season with Newcastle. He popped in with about 8 goals, league goals this year. He has been really incredible, and I think there was a 1 month or 2 month period where he was injured, and you could just see, and I think that actually, yeah, that was the period Newcastle really suffered. That was when calls for Eddie House to be sacked grew because they were struggling so much with creativity, with midfield energy. That was when Bruno Guimaraes was out, and that tells you the impact he has on this team. Of course, he is also the captain, and those two that period where he was injured emphasize why. On to Nottingham Forest, this one was tough because there were again two guys on podium, but I just one guy one guy could win it, could have won it, and he should did he? Well, he could have won it, and he is in England's World Cups. No, sorry, should have won it or could have won it, and should have been in England's World Cup squad. Um, But the only thing that I think holds Morgan Gibbs right back in this regard is he had a really good season, but he only really picked up in the second half. He really, really started to come through, especially on Vitor Pereira. He was fantastic. He had a great end to the season. I think his last, from January onwards, he scored 10 league goals, and I think he had 11 in total, or 12 in total. So that tells you he had an alright start and then he really picked up towards the end. But one guy who was absolutely magnificent all through the season, who I'm hoping United stand because screw Man City, Elliot Anderson, fantastic. One of the best players in the league. I have him join. I have him in midfield for team of the season. Tough to pick between him and Declan Rice as best midfielder in English football right now, but that tells you how good he is. He has been incredibly fantastic. He is so good in every part of the game. It's actually unfair. It's actually ridiculously unfair how good he is. And I really hope City don't get him. But yeah, I think he just has to be the Forest player of the season, in my opinion. Sunderland, I'm so happy for these guys because being Chelsea in that last game of season not only knocked Chelsea down to 10th and out of Europe, but it got Sunderland in the Europa League next season, which in the same season they got promoted is an incredible achievement. I'm sure I've said that already. Robin Rose, brand new signing in summer. He was really good for them. I mean, he's in Netherlands World Cup squad now because of this season. He's been incredible. Um, Made good saves, as with keepers, kept them in games when they were struggling, saved them points here and there, and he was really, really good. Omar Alderete, second place, another summer signing from Getafe, this one from Getafe, brilliant player at the back. Dan Ballard should have been in here, but then he got injured and unfortunately had to leave him out of this leave him off this podium as a result. But Omar Alderete was absolutely fantastic all season. And yeah, they've you know what, Sunderland's transfer business in summer was absolutely incredible, absolutely fantastic. Because if you think about the best starting lineup, Robin Rose, not Michele, yeah, Mukiele, Alderete, Reynaldo, Chaka, Sadiki, Diarra, Robbie. About eight or nine of those guys were signed in the summer. And speaking of, well, one of the names I've just mentioned, Granit Xhaka for me has to be the player of the season. Not just was he the guy controlling the game in the middle of the park, he was the leader of the team. He was a coach out there on the pitch. He was helping because a lot of these guys are young players. Um, Sadiki, Diarra, Broby, oh, youngish anyway, and he was kind of the coach on the pitch, telling them what to do, where to go, when to slow the game down, when to speed up, when to press, when to drop, and he was absolutely incredible for them, not just mentally, but and psychologically and tactically, but also surprisingly physically. I thought he would struggle coming back to the Premier League at 33. He's not lost a step really. I mean, and that tells you. I always think players like him, likes of Michael Carrick, people who aren't the most athletic, being able to adapt even at older ages in a league this intense, tells you the most intelligent players because they don't rely on physicality, they rely on intelligence to be in the right place at the right time. And that is Granit Xhaka to a T. And he has been absolutely incredible this season. Watching him, I've watched both of his games with Switzerland at the World Cup. He's doing the exact same thing with that Switzerland team. He's just immense. His vision is fantastic, and he did score. I mean, it was a penalty, but he did score in that game yesterday, so I'm really happy for him as well. Uh, on to Tottenham. They had a disappointing season. They've dealt with a lot of injuries. They've dealt with a lot of inconsistencies. Dealt with different managers and tactical systems and styles. So I'm going to give three players for the podium. Surprisingly, I know. Matisse Tell, again, especially in the latter half of the season, this is the young guy from Bayern we thought we were going to see from last year. But granted, he's 2021, he's adapting to a new league and physicality, so can't blame him too much. But he's the kind of guy who he's got that young fearlessness to him. He never thinks the ball is lost. He's always looking to press for it. He's always looking to try and win the ball. He's always looking to take a player on, try to create something. Sometimes it's chaotic, but ultimately, as the end product started coming in towards the latter half of the season, you could see the player developing. You could see him becoming much better, much better. The turning point for them, the first win of 2026 Wolves game, they scored from a corner. He took the corner, but the more important thing, he won that corner, chasing a lost cause down against Wolves. So he was really good this season, and I can't knock him for it. Richarlison, he's sometimes I watch him and you think, does he actually use his brain when he plays football? And that is a really harsh comment. I understand that. But at the same time, he is also a brilliant player at times. Like, he seems to have a knack of scoring really important goals. Like against Liverpool in that 1-1 draw, he was one who popped up with the equalizer. He has a knack of just finding himself in the right place at the worst possible time for the opposition team because he scored some big goals. He was a top scorer this season as well with, I think he got 9 or 10 goals, which playing left wing in this in this poor Tottenham side this past season, he also had injuries. So I think he had an underrated season and it deserves a bit more attention than he's gotten. Archie Gray, though, was, I think, head and shoulders Spurs' best player this season. He was consistent all the way through. When asked to play at right centre back, right wing back, right back, central midfield, he was always given a 6, 7/10 every week. He was, for such a young player as well, to be the not leader, but to be the one guy on the pitch showing some nerve, showing passion, showing desire, showing skill as well that he showed, especially in the middle part of the season where Spurs won that horrific run. It takes a lot of guts, it takes a lot of courage, and he deserves a lot of credit for the work he did this season with Spurs. Granted, towards the end of that Deserby, he couldn't really get in, he couldn't really start the game, but that's because of Deserby's specific tactical style and less about Archie Gray's contributions and his mental and physical attributes. So onto the relegation teams. I think there were a few players. I'm going to name about six players were who I think can hold their heads high and probably deserve moves elsewhere. Although one of them has already moved. Well, Dubravka. I'm going to start with Burnley. Dubravka was really good. He's an older player now. I actually think United could take a punt on him as a second keeper because he wasn't too bad for Burnley, and he actually saved them quite a bit this season. He ended the season with the second most saves behind Robin Roos. He may have been top of that stat. Can't remember, but he was incredible for Burnley time and time again. Zian Fleming as well getting 11 goals was surprising because Burnley didn't really have a set striker for the season. They kind of sometimes play 4-4-2, sometimes 5-4-1. Some strikers in sometimes Zian Fleming started, sometimes Leo Foster started, sometimes other players started. So it was a bit of a weird system. But the fact he still got 11 league goals is credit to his quality. Um, I'm just going to move on to West Ham now because I don't really have much else to say about Burnley. It was a really poor season from them. West Ham, of course, Matheus Fernandes. United trying to get him. Another one of those well-rounded midfielders who can really play any role you ask him to play. Grew again this season. Second season in Premier League, second relegation from Premier League. Still only 21 though, which I think actually helps him because it helps with the mental resilience to this guy that he's been relegated twice in 2 seasons first with Southampton, now with West Ham. But you know what? He's a star. Unlucky to miss out on Portugal's World Cup squad, but you can see all the teams going after him. I think Real Madrid and talks, United are going after him. Spurs are going after him. I think one or two other top teams are looking at him. So it tells you how good this guy is, and he was really good this season, really, really good. And I think he's got a really fantastic future ahead of him. Jarrod Bowen, not much else to say. I mean, we all know Jarrod Bowen, consistent Mr. West Ham, captain, leader, superhero for that team, always popping up with the important goal or assist for them. I mean, to get 11 assists and like 10 goals. I'm sorry guys. I haven't got the exact numbers, but I'm pretty sure he had at least 20 goal involvements this season in the league. So, and to get that with the West Ham team that's relegated is quite an incredible achievement. Especially when you consider the likes of Tati Castellanos and Pablo, who actually ended the season as the starting striker for us, only joined in January. Tells you the amount of heavy lifting Jarrod Bowen did, especially earlier on in the season. Wolves, Ladislav Krejci, brilliant at the back. Well, he's gone back on loan. He's ended his loan and gone back to Girona, where I'm sure he'll be really happy to be and not in Championship. But he's actually shown himself. So if any team in the bottom half of the league any of the bottom half teams want a centre back, I don't think he'll be a bad option to look at. Good on the ball, defensively solid, a bit understated at times, but yeah, he really put good credit to his name this past season. And I'm gonna end off this episode with one more Wolves player, Matthias Mane, who was the teenager who started out as a winger and then got moved into central attacking midfield by Rob Edwards, and just took off from there. He was undroppable by the end of the season. He's a clear talent. His ability on the ball, his bravery, his work rate, his desire, all fantastic attributes to have, especially as a teenager in the Premier League. And I think it's only a matter of time before he makes a move to a bigger club, because it is coming. So yeah, guys, again, once more, thank you very much for listening and tuning into Talking Balls. If you've got any disagreements, please let me know. Do state it in comments or send us an email to daretoyan@gmail.com. That's DARETOYAN@gmail.com. Give us a follow on YouTube. Give us a subscribe on YouTube, and a like on the videos. Give us a follow and a like on the podcast episodes on Spotify as well. I'll attach the links to the show notes. Thank you very much. Take care.